Most people fail, not because they're stupid, not because they're untalented, but because they're lazy. They wait. They delay. They make excuses. And then one day they wake up, realizing their time is gone. Today, I will show you how to kill laziness before it kills your potential. Motivation is a trap. People spend their lives waiting to feel ready, waiting for that burst of energy, that spark of inspiration, before they act. And that's why most people fail. They wait for motivation that never comes. They believe that they need to feel good to do good. Winners know this is a lie. Winners don't operate on motivation. They operate on discipline. When I was building Apple, I didn't wake up every morning filled with excitement. Some days I hated it. Some days I was exhausted, frustrated, and burned out. There were nights when I thought about quitting. Mornings when I didn't want to face another problem, another setback, another rejection. But I showed up anyway. I worked anyway. I pushed anyway. Because I knew something most people never understand. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is eternal. Motivation dies in the face of resistance, but discipline survives. Laziness thrives on the illusion of motivation. It whispers, wait until you're inspired. Wait until you're in the mood. Wait until everything feels right. But if you listen to that voice, you'll be waiting forever. That's why people go year after year without changing anything. They tell themselves, when I feel motivated, I'll start. But the truth is, motivation doesn't come first. Action does. Winners act without waiting. And the action creates the energy, the focus, the momentum. The lazy wait to feel good. The disciplined do what needs to be done, whether they feel good or not. Think about athletes. Do you think champions wake up every day excited to train? Do you think they never feel tired, sore, or unmotivated? Of course they do, but they don't rely on feelings. They rely on discipline. They get up, they show up, and they execute. That's why they win. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. Motivation may start the journey, but only discipline will finish it. Most people confuse interest with commitment. They say they want success, but they only act when it's convenient. They say they want change, but they only work when it's easy. Winners are different. Winners act in alignment with their vision, not their emotions. Emotions shift like the wind. Discipline anchors you in the storm. Without discipline, laziness wins every time. With discipline, you can silence laziness forever. I can't tell you how many people I've met who were brilliant, creative, overflowing with ideas, but they lacked discipline. They had the spark, but not the grind. They waited for motivation, and while they waited, someone less talented, less intelligent, but more disciplined passed them by. Talent without discipline is wasted potential. Vision without discipline is a dream that never leaves your mind. Discipline turns ideas into reality. The dark truth is that discipline is not glamorous. It's boring. It's repetitive. It's doing the same thing over and over while nobody claps for you, while nobody notices, while your own mind tells you to stop. Discipline is waking up and working when you'd rather sleep, practicing when you'd rather relax, and pushing when you'd rather quit. That's why so few people master it. But that's also why the few who do become unstoppable. When I was fired from Apple, it wasn't motivation that brought me back. It wasn't inspiration. It was discipline. The discipline to keep building at Next. The discipline to keep pushing at Pixar. The discipline to show up, even when the world thought I was finished. That discipline eventually brought me back to Apple, stronger and sharper than before. Without it, there would be no comeback, no second act, no iPhone, no legacy. Motivation is a spark, discipline is the fire. Motivation flickers, discipline endures. Laziness will always seduce you with the promise of waiting until you feel ready. But the truth is brutal. You'll never feel ready. Winners understand this. They don't wait, they act. And when they act with discipline, day after day, year after year, they kill laziness before it has a chance to kill them. Comfort is the most dangerous drug in the world. It feels good. It's easy to get addicted to. And it quietly kills your ambition without you realizing it. Laziness doesn't start with doing nothing. It starts with being comfortable. A soft bed, a warm couch, endless scrolling on a glowing screen, food delivered at the tap of a button. Comfort gives you the illusion of peace. But what it really gives you is decay. When you are comfortable, you stop moving. When you stop moving, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start dying. That's the hidden truth nobody tells you. Comfort is not just harmless relaxation. It's the silent assassin of greatness. Every empire, every innovator, every revolution collapsed the moment comfort took over. The moment the fight ended, the fall began. And that's exactly how laziness breeds. It whispers, "Stay here. It feels good. You deserve it," while it robs you of your future. When I was building Apple, comfort wasn't even an option. We didn't have fancy offices. We didn't have stability. We didn't even know if we'd survive the next year. But that discomfort kept us alive. It forced us to be creative, to hustle, to outwork and outthink companies much bigger than us. Comfort would have killed Apple before it even started. Instead, discomfort became the forge where vision turned into reality. But here's the trap most people fall into. The moment they achieve a little success, the moment they have a little money, a little recognition, a little comfort, they stop. They think they've made it. They slow down, they relax, they start indulging. And before long, they're stuck. Their edge is gone. Their hunger is gone. Laziness takes root, and the greatness they once had slips away. Comfort is seductive, but it's also destructive. Look around. Why do so many people stay stuck in the same job, the same city, the same habits for years? Because it's comfortable. They're not happy, but they're comfortable. They're not growing, but they're safe. They trade discomfort for certainty. And in doing so, they trade greatness for mediocrity. Winners understand this truth. Comfort is the enemy. They deliberately choose discomfort. They put themselves in environments that challenge them, push them, and break them out of laziness. Discomfort is where growth happens. Think about your own life. The moments that shaped you, the moments that defined you, they weren't the comfortable ones. They were the painful ones, the uncertain ones, the ones where you were forced to adapt or fail. Discomfort sharpens you. Comfort dulls you. That's why winners chase discomfort. They know it's the only way to evolve. When I returned to Apple after being fired, I could have stayed comfortable. I had money. I had success from Pixar. I didn't need to come back. But comfort would have kept me stagnant. And stagnant is just another word for dead. So I stepped back into the fire, into the chaos, into the discomfort. And that decision led to the greatest chapter of my life. If I had chosen comfort, there would be no iMac, no iPod, no iPhone. Comfort would have robbed the world of what came next. Laziness feeds on comfort. It waits for you to let your guard down, to indulge, to settle. That's when it takes over. You want to kill laziness. You have to kill comfort first. You have to deliberately step into situations that make you uneasy, that test you, that demand more from you than you think you have. Winners are not comfortable. They are restless, they are challenged, they are always chasing a higher standard. Comfort doesn't create legends, discomfort does. So ask yourself, are you living for comfort or are you living for growth? Because you cannot have both. The price of comfort is mediocrity. The reward of discomfort is transformation. Most people will never make that trade. Winners always do. Laziness thrives on stillness. The longer you sit, the heavier you feel. The longer you wait, the harder it gets to start. That's the trap. People think they'll move when they feel ready, but readiness never comes. Winners understand this momentum is everything. You don't wait for it, you create it, and you create it through movement. Most people are paralyzed by overthinking. They plan, they strategize, they dream, they talk. They build castles in their minds, but their hands remain idle. And in that stillness, laziness grows stronger, feeding off hesitation. Winners break this cycle by moving. They don't wait for clarity, they move into clarity. They don't wait for energy, they move into energy. The act of doing even something small sets the wheel in motion. That wheel is momentum. Once it turns, it becomes unstoppable. When I was building the first Macintosh, there were endless reasons to wait. The technology wasn't ready. The money wasn't enough. The risks were enormous, but waiting would have killed the vision. So we moved. We built with what we had. We pushed forward step by step, and every step gave us the momentum to take the next. That's how progress happens, not in giant leaps, but in small, relentless movements that stack until suddenly, the impossible becomes inevitable. Laziness thrives on inaction, but movement suffocates it. You want to kill laziness? Move. It doesn't matter how small the step is. Take it. Send the email. Write the first sentence. Make the first call. Start the first draft. Once you start, something shifts. You feel it. Your brain engages. Your body follows. And suddenly you're no longer thinking about doing. You're doing. That's momentum. And it's addictive. The mistake most people make is waiting for motivation to move. Winners do the opposite. They move first, and motivation follows. Movement creates energy. Movement creates focus. Movement creates momentum. It's the law of inertia. Objects in motion stay in motion. Objects at rest stay at rest. The same law applies to your life. If you're not moving, you're stuck. If you're moving, you're unstoppable. I've seen brilliant minds waste away because they never started. They had the ideas, the talent, the vision, but they stayed still. They waited for perfect conditions, for the right time, for certainty. But the right time never comes. Conditions are never perfect. Certainty is a myth. Winners don't wait for perfect. They move with imperfect. And in moving, they gain the momentum that others never find. Think about a rocket. The hardest part is liftoff. Breaking through gravity takes the most energy. But once it's moving, momentum carries it higher and higher with less resistance. That's your life. The beginning is the hardest. Laziness feels strongest at the start. But if you push through, if you move, you create momentum, and momentum does the heavy lifting. When I came back to Apple, it wasn't one giant move that changed everything. It was a series of movements. The first product, the iMac, gave us momentum. That momentum carried us into the iPod. The iPod gave us momentum for the iTunes Store. The iTunes Store gave us momentum for the iPhone. Each move built on the last until the momentum was unstoppable. That's how revolutions are built. Not with one action, but with relentless movement that compounds into something the world can't ignore. Laziness will always try to freeze you in place. It will whisper that you're not ready, that you should wait, that tomorrow is better. Winners silence that voice by moving now. They don't think themselves into action. They act themselves into clarity, confidence, and victory. Momentum is the enemy of laziness. Once you have it, laziness has no chance. Once you're moving, you're already winning. Everyone wants power. Everyone wants success, wealth, recognition, and freedom. But almost no one is willing to pay the price. And the price is pain, and not the kind of pain you run from, but the kind you walk into willingly, knowing it's the only path forward. Laziness is nothing more than an attempt to avoid pain. That's the truth most people don't want to admit. Think about it. Laziness whispers, stay in bed, it's easier. Why? Because getting up early hurts. Laziness says, don't go to the gym. Why? Because pushing your body is painful. Laziness tells you, do it later, you have time. Why? Because doing it now forces you to face discomfort. Laziness isn't a lack of ability. It's an escape from pain. And that's why most people fail. They want the result without the struggle, the reward without the sacrifice, the crown without the battle. But winners know pain is the price of power. When I was building Apple, every single day came with pain. Rejections from investors, failures in prototypes, endless sleepless nights. There was financial pain, emotional pain, and even physical pain from the sheer exhaustion. But I understood something: pain wasn't my enemy. It was my teacher. It was shaping me into someone capable of holding the vision, carrying the weight, and building something that would outlast me. Without that pain, I wouldn't have had the power. Apple wouldn't have had the power. People look at success like it's glamorous. They see the final product, the headlines, the applause. They don't see the suffering it took to get there. They don't see the countless hours of rejection, the nights of doubt, the moments where giving up felt easier than going on. Winners endure what others refuse. They don't chase comfort, they chase growth. And growth always comes wrapped in pain. Pain is the filter. It separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the builders. Anyone can want something. Anyone can say they're going to do something. But only those who embrace pain, who lean into it instead of running away, will ever see true power. That's why laziness kills dreams. It convinces you to avoid the very process that would make you strong enough to achieve them. The darkest lessons I ever learned came from pain. Being fired from Apple was painful. Watching the company I built crumble without me was painful. But that pain sharpened me. It stripped away illusions. It forced me to rebuild. It made me hungrier, sharper, more dangerous. Without that pain, I wouldn't have had the fire to return and reshape the world with products that redefined entire industries. Pain wasn't the end. Pain was the preparation. You see, pain is not punishment. It's initiation. It's the price every winner pays before they earn power. The bigger your vision, the heavier your burden. The heavier your burden, the more pain you must endure. That's the equation. Laziness tries to escape it, but winners embrace it. They know that power is forged in the fire of pain, and no shortcut can bypass it. Ask yourself this: what pain are you running from right now? The pain of discipline, the pain of effort, the pain of risk. Every time you run from pain, you also run from your power. Every time you avoid discomfort, you choose weakness over strength. Winners don't avoid pain. They train with it, they grow with it, they build with it. Pain is the chisel that carves greatness into your soul. So if you truly want to kill laziness, stop chasing easy. Stop looking for comfort. Start embracing the pain that everyone else runs from, because hidden inside that pain is the power you've been searching for. And until you pay that price, laziness will own you, and greatness will stay out of reach. You've seen it now. Laziness isn't some harmless habit. It's a disease of the mind. It eats away at potential. It robs you of time. It kills the very spark that makes you alive. Winners don't escape laziness by luck. They crush it by building discipline, by moving into action, by embracing momentum, and by paying the price of pain. This is the mindset of power: to wake up every day and do what others won't. To choose the harder path when the easy one whispers your name. To keep moving even when everything in you screams to stop. And to walk in pain, not because you enjoy it, but because you understand it's the only road to strength, freedom, and greatness. I'm not telling you this because it sounds good. I'm telling you this because I lived it. I suffered through rejection, failure, betrayal, and loss. But I never let laziness own me. I killed it with action, with fire, with pain. That's why Apple exists. That's why the world changed. not because of talent alone, but because laziness was destroyed at every step of the way. So now the choice is yours. You can stay where you are, comfortable, safe, but weak. Or you can kill your laziness, step into discipline, move into momentum, and embrace pain as the price of power. That's the difference between those who dream and those who build, between those who fade and those who live forever. Winners aren't born, they are made in fire, and fire burns laziness to ash.